All right, this is my name is Jake Walker. This is my assignment number 2 for TEP 227. You asked us to summarize a couple different things. The first thing you asked us to summarize was a Times Magazine article called "Baby Einstein's Not So Smart After All." It's talking about in the early aughts, Disney put out some educational material that was designed to be like educational videos to help your uh, to help learn and things like that. But it turns out it wasn't actually all that beneficial. Didn't do what it proclaimed to do. Um, the second thing we talked about, which leads into it, is the Infant Learning Company, which is a company that sells different products to help your child learn. They have DVDs, but also have like interactable things. And from what I could see online and what I researched and what I read, the interactables, like the flashcards and the different books that you can read and pop-ups and stuff like that, was phenomenal. But the actual like video stuff really wasn't beneficial to little ones, which is consistent with what the Time magazine and some light googling I did was. The next two things were aimed at a little bit older children and even adults. The first one was Brainonomics. My mom actually bought this for me. But basically, it was a series of different types of challenging games that were trying to make your brain work a little bit more, math games, stuff like that. And it had like strategies for doing math quickly and stuff like that. I still use a lot of those strategies today. But it's a good product. The last thing you wanted us to check out was Super Brain Yoga. I actually did this in class. The idea of it is you do basically some squats while holding each earlobe. It looks quite silly. I personally never received any benefit for it, and I did some like googling, and apparently some of the studies did show that there is a pretty good benefit. But yeah. To talk more specifically about like the different pros for these sorts of things, the brainonetics I definitely did see some benefits for, specifically for the like easy ways to do math better, right? Like just different strategies and stuff like that. I found that very, very useful. A lot of the other stuff was kind of meh. The games that are included in it were awesome. I was very competitive about learning when I was very, very young. And I think that's why I like learning so much now, because I enjoy the actual process of it. Just teaching my brain to do that through competition was a fantastic idea. It worked really, really well for me. Um, but that's the only thing that I'm actually like really pro on that we looked at. The other stuff like has good evidence for it, like the super yoga like I talked about a few minutes ago. The super yoga does have decent evidence behind it, but from what I've read, the evidence is relatively consistent with the placebo effect along with exercise. So if you were taking these childs who had receiving no exercise, were receiving no interpersonal time really, and then you were dedicating time for exercise and interpersonal like relationship building, no wonder that you're going to have a dramatic effect on the kids, and it's going to be better for them. Um, Other than that, I don't really have any other pros, to be honest. The early infant company stuff, it all seems to be pretty good, but it seems to be comparable with like just hanging out with your kid and purposely spending time with them to develop their language learning skills, right? Talking to them, reading them books, stuff like that. All seemed like, from the data I looked at, relatively comparable. Even they say on their site, like, hey, take our methodology. It's free. We really want to support people, but if you want more than just the methodology, here's some things that you can purchase that'll help you out with that. That's pretty much all I got for pros. I think a lot of this stuff is kind of overblown. I apologize for the dog. So to talk about cons, I talked about it a little bit before, but my primary problem with stuff like this is a lot of it is the placebo effect. Specifically, I'm talking about to be more specific, I'm talking about the super brain yoga. It seems to be mostly placebo effect. I mean, that news report was from the early aughts, and if it was super duper effective, you would see it everywhere all the time. Um, just never came up. I remember it was literally implemented in my school, and I personally received no benefit from it. It never really seemed to do anything for me besides just as a way to break up the monotony of the classroom. And hey, maybe that was its primary. Maybe that could be a really good thing, but that has nothing to do with the fact that you're touching your ears and squatting. It has to do with the fact that you're breaking up the school day, and that change of thinking process can be really, really impactful for students. For the Brainetic specifically, the big con that I saw is a lot of it was based on memorization. I was pretty young when I did this. I don't remember that much about memorization. The big thing that I remember is the quick math stuff and the competitive learning. Uh, but that is, from what I've read online, that's a lot of people's cons on it. The Infant Learning Company, their biggest con is, well, it's freaking expensive. It's like $200 for books and stuff you're going to use once. And you have to have a DVD player, which no one has anymore. I mean, like, the only reason I have a DVD player is because I had a PS4. That's my DVD player. Otherwise, I would not own one. Everything is digital and stuff like that now. They do have some digital options, which are cheaper, but that you can tell that that isn't their bread and butter. The bread and butter is the physical books and stuff like that, which is great. It's fantastic. Those are good products, but it is really expensive. Other cons for them, I don't really have any. And then the first article was all cons about that sort of stuff. All right, I'm going to be really, really specific in how I answer the question. Is it possible to accelerate learning? I don't think it is the way that they're trying to do it. I think the problem is all of the weird stuff we put in the way of learning, like screens and stuff like that, instead of looking at what has worked historically. And I'm not talking like the Prussian school model. I'm talking like with the most successful cultures. How did they raise their kids? And it isn't how we raise our kids today. I think that's the primary problem. Is that there's not enough interpersonal connection. There's not enough group-based learning things. And I don't mean by like grade. I mean like the eighth graders helping out the sixth graders, helping out the fifth graders, all those sorts of things, and everybody learning at their own speed and being interconnected. The problem with that only really works on a really, really small scale, which is what humans evolved at. And everything that I've read about evolutionary biology tells me that is probably the way to go going forward, is try to get back to ways that our ancestors did things that were productive, that are that got better results than what we are doing now. Right? I don't mean just, abandon modernity for abandoning modernity's sake. No, we need to look very, very carefully at modernity, at the issues that we're having, why they might be there, and then the things that were different in ancient societies to make their things better. Yeah. So, have a good day.